Hi, today we would like to present to you our Mad Men analysis report prepared by Anthony Sutherland and Irina Grinchevskaya. And our quote is said by one of the characters of the show, Bobby Barrett. "This is America. Pick a job and then become a person who does it." And we think the quote great associates with the main character of the show, Don, his work, lifestyle, which is still relevant in our world today. If you took any character from Mad Men show and lined him among a million people in the real world today, each one would easily stand out. And the show walks us through the history of advertising industry in 1960 and demonstrating how each company has developed its brand and reputation. In the Mad Men episode 5 season 2, we can see how Sterling Cooper were running an ad campaign for Playtex to answer its competitor Maidenform. And through the episode, we can observe the marketing concept used by the agency, which connects the customer and the product on a deep emotional level. The agency characterizing all women is either Jackie Kennedy or Marilyn Monroe, and the solution of that, of course, would be implemented by Playtex, fitting both sides of a woman in one. Dawn shows everyone in the room not what the product is about, but what it will do for the customer and how it will make them feel. The feeling, that what sells Don Draper and what is still relevant in our marketing world today.
Want to be seen by us, their husbands, their boyfriends, their friends' husbands. Here's the idea. Want to be seen.
And there's another great example associating the product with the retail. This is what Peggy Olson does when presenting the popsicle ad. It represents the idea of families, childhood, and nostalgia of happy times. She uses the words that audience associates the product with.
This now, but we wanted something with the word love in it. When asked, the first thing people say is, "I love popsicles." This now, but
take it, break it, share it, and love it. And as Donald Draper says, you feeling something, that's what sells. This is a great example again of a memory-based sales concept allowing consumers to share their stories, connect with each other, and love the popsicle brand.
So next we're going to discuss a little bit about Season 1, Episode 6, which is called Babylon. And in this episode, Sterling Cooper is really focused on an advertising campaign to help make Israel a hot tourist destination. Representatives from both Olympic Cruise Lines and the Israeli Tourism Bureau come to Sterling Cooper and meet with Don Draper and others in order to go over the message that they want to portray to their target audience, as well as going over the target audience. The goal is really to portray Israel as a glamorous, hot tourist destination, and kind of unite Israel and the United States as well. Tensions are a little high at the time. So really just to get out there and make Israel a hot spot for people vacationing or visiting from the United States, as well as other countries as well. Also in this episode, Sterling Cooper is working on a lipstick advertising campaign for Bella Jolie. This isn't the main focus of the episode, but there's a lot of good marketing strategies and concepts for that campaign in this episode that are very relatable to this course. So to start off with the whole Israel advertising campaign, Don is required, not really required, but as a good advertiser does, they do their research. And he is reading the book Exodus by Leon Uris, to gain a little bit more knowledge for research purposes on Israel. And the book really goes into depth about the history of the country and the culture as well. And Don and those of the Israel Tourism Bureau and Olympic Cruise Lines, as I mentioned before, they're really discussing in the meeting that they have who they're targeting in their advertising and what they want to portray. And the result is really to advertise to tourists, especially with money, especially at this time, the 1960s. Money and traveling was more of a status. So they're really reaching more the target audience with a little bit more money, vacationing, going out of the country. And also Don meets with Rachel to gain a little more insight if he can. She's Jewish. She has Israel descent in her blood. And so he thought maybe he could meet with her for lunch to gain a little bit more insight on the culture, which could better help him in the advertising campaign with a little bit of research. And one thing that is noted is some of the people working under Don talked about the promised land, calling Israel the promised land. And one thing Don wants to make sure is to shy away from religion, which is really a key thing in advertising, because in this sense, you don't want to get political. That could bring up religion, could turn people off. So they shy away from that. Next, we talk a little bit about the Bella Jolie lipstick advertising campaign. And pretty much Bella Jolie has a huge line of many lipsticks to sell, and sales are low. So Ken, Freddie, and Sal use the women in the office to test out the lipsticks. And they're excited, they're having a good time. And one thing that was a huge part was Peggy Olson, who's Don's secretary at the time. She picks up the basket of the garbage can with all the lipstick tissues that the ladies in the office were using. And she said, basket full of kisses. And Freddie heard this and he really liked it. And next thing you know, Peggy kind of came up with the idea for Bella Jolie lipstick. And she really showed that creative side. And this whole process really reflects the research and analyzing that research and being able to create a campaign based on all that information. The next episode is Nixon versus Kennedy, which is season 1, episode 12. And this was a tough episode for me to kind of narrow down some of the marketing strategies in it. And it wasn't an episode that had a lot of advertising for Sterling Cooper involved in it, but based on the election and the dialogue going on in the episode, the presidential election of Nixon versus Kennedy was huge. And this was kind of the big time that television started to really make its mark in the advertising world. And a lot of people think, maybe Kennedy just had better advertising on TV. He really went out there, and it was just a huge market history. I think Sterling Cooper started to realize after this that television really plays a key role. As for the election, as I said, it was a time when TV started to become a big thing. And TV is still a huge platform now, and it's relatable now to what it was in this episode, in this era of the 1960s. Thank you.